are you saying that there's reliance on the text or on the image of the text? I mean,
both. It's
yeah.
like
oh, okay.
That's kind of like the relationship between the two. Yeah. Because that, like the dots, like that is like a device that she has at her disposal, like the author of a regular novel.
And I agree with him. I don't see that as cop-out or
Right,
over reliance, because this entire novel, she says she could have written this as a fiction, but she decides to write about in a memoir, and this is about her subconscious and your thought process. And a lot of times, like we read, words aren't just words; they're thought images. So I feel as if it does serve her purpose. It does serve her purpose. I don't feel as if there's an over reliance on imagery.
I think it's interesting that you guys highlight those paragraphs where she takes quotes and uses other people's material to forward her story. If you look at page 22, instead of using just the copy or like a snippet of that paragraph, she goes into a little more detail and uses like a diagram of sorts, right?
Infographic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she uses very fine infographic to illustrate information about her current situation when it comes to therapy and the various ideas within psychology and how that applies to her and her family and the various levels that she has to go through in order to understand her situation developmentally. Because over the course of the story, I feel as though it's just like the reoccurring theme of "Are you my mother?" happens basically on every page. Like, are you my mother? Why did you do this? Are you my mother? Are you still that authoritarian figure? Are you my mother? Are we going to be friends now? Are you my mother? Are you going to accept me in my orientation? So that question of "Are you my mother?" a comic drama, that's how she separates herself from "Are you my mother?" Biologically speaking, are you my mama? Are you my bird mama? Yeah. So I think she uses it well on page 22 because that sets up the story very early on to understand her and how she functions within her society and within her social environment. So in that sense, I think that using that and, the various ideas from Winnicott and Freud, forwards her story. This could have been, 3 chapters just telling you about how crazy her social environment is. But instead she uses that in 1 page you understand where she's coming from, opposed to all the little snippet paragraphs where you're like, okay, it fits in the story, but how does it function within your life?
So it actually made me reconsider, not reconsider, but it's probably how I intended to say it the whole time, like cop-out or a reliance on like the image is a good thing, I think.
Yeah, it definitely helps her. Yeah.
Because like that, especially that particular example, like that is just, it makes it so much more, it makes it such like a richer experience of like getting involved in the story, and like it makes it, I think that's what makes this, because this actual narrative, it would be really difficult to get through if it was just text on paper, but with this it's really engaging, and just the way that she chooses, or like her editor, whoever made those decisions to align things on the page, like it's just interesting to look at, and automatically like there's a subtext that you have to start reading that you're not really used to.
Tim, I love that you said it's like a cop-out, but not in a bad way. Like it's like a reclamation of like reclaiming the word cop-out.
Yeah.
And and something about that, I feel like, I wonder how Alison Bechdel would feel about that, and she'd probably think that's cool.
Because like I kind of alluded to it earlier, where she was like the question of "Are you my mother?" Like in her therapy sessions, like "Are you my mother? Are you this? Are you biologically my mother? Like are we just blood? Are you like teaching me morals, or why are you trying to regulate my life? Are you my mother? What kind of mother are you? How could we have done this differently so that over the course of my life I wouldn't have to go to these therapy sessions? You know what I mean? Like, are you my mother? Did you really mess me up, mama?
Yeah, I mean, like with the patches on her pants, I think she's trying to go around and find the good enough mother, whether it's her therapist or Winnicott or her girlfriends, like somebody that can make her feel more at ease for the things that she's dealing with.
I think that makes a lot of sense, because with this, with the children's novel, the bird is going around asking, like, are you my mother, for comfort and safety, and for acceptance. So that's something that, you know, all children do. You know, like, you have those paternal, maternal figures that, you know, give you those, you know, basically love, right? So, with that said, like, going over the course of the novel, she does go to these female figures, like, asking, like, are you my mother, beyond my mother, you know, like, my actual mother. Will you be that surrogate figure to fill that void in my mind, and, you know, like, where I need, you know, some mama time.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing, like, a surrogate essentially, like, kind of, and I was thinking about that in terms of, yeah, it being, again, this, like, kind of continual search, or just, like, a transference, or moving from one transitional object to another, you know, but always feeling this sort of loss or emptiness, and yeah, and that's kind of like what Winnicott, you know, is saying. That's kind of like, I don't know, it seemed like to me like that's what he was saying, like that's kind of what life is, you know. You're separated from your mother, and then you're just like, you like kind of just moving from transitional object to transitional object.
She uses the thing of her mom like stopping to kiss her goodnight at 7, I think.
Yeah, at 7.
Yeah, which could be, you know, the moment that her mom, like the kid's book, the mom sort of abandoned the baby bird in the nest, or at least through Allison's eyes, that's how it was.
That's like, if in my opinion, one of the top reasons why this isn't. Yeah, this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is what?
So are you My Mother daughter when you were mentioning about the little birdie? So she found her mother.
In the end, yeah.
And yeah, she was happy in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mom was like, oh, welcome back. And it's like, where'd you go? Like.
Do you remember Jack, like, Professor saying in the beginning of the class, like, how every book in this class could be complicit, how nothing's gonna happen, and in the end, the character's not gonna grow. And I mean,
Oh, yeah.
So the same thing's happening here.
She was true to her word.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this book has a resolve?
No, not
Kind
at
of.
all. Oh, well, yeah, that last thing.
At last, I have destroyed my mother. She has destroyed my destruction. I mean, she talks about how Virginia Woolf was consumed by her mother and her parents, and that went away when she wrote it. But at the same time, it's not a very there is a resolve, but it's by no means.
Yeah, I would say like this frame gives a bit of a resolve, and it's like she's able to put something out of her mind by writing this book, and then you open to this frame, and things kind of come into question. I mean, yes, this is her as a little girl, but I keep opening the book to this, and you know.
Yeah, since this book has no ending, I think this person will end up killing herself.
That's why she's in therapy. That's why she's in therapy. That is why she is talking to all these people about her issues. But going back to that final page that you brought up about the resolve, she even mentions there's a lack, a gap, a void. And that's what she got from her mother. And she has given me the way out as she's a baby crawling away from her mother. I think that is very telling since we go through her adult stages. And, you know, even at a baby, she knew like she needed to get away from her mama. That, which is completely different than the children's novel where the bird gets back into the nest. You know, so you can use the nest as a metaphor for home and being the safety and comfort of your mother. I think that's where this book is separated from children's novels.
Ooh, definitely.
Yeah. Like, you know, so I think it's very interesting that you bring up that page and feel as though it's a resolve.
And that ties into that, the full spread page that we talked about before, where she sets up the 5 pictures of her and her mom's on it. She says, like, even by 3 months, I had figured out to be wary of my father's rages, and like, just like the child development and whatnot. It's just
Just the thing of what separates children's books from comic books from graphic novels. I mean, think about like even the YouTube video of the kid's book, Are You My Mother? The lady that's reading it out loud is saying it in kind of like the most grating voice of, and then the birdie went down, and you know, and you go and you pick a passage from this and you try to imagine it in that tone, like, narcissistic cathexis of her child by the mother. You know, and it's just ridiculous. And so we talked about like the different like whatever threshold levels for content that you can achieve in different formats.
I mean, while growing up, these kids' books give us reassurance that everything's gonna be fine and everything's gonna end up well. When you grow up, you just find out that it's going to be the opposite.
The illustrated book of Genesis, like how do we compare this to like Bechdel's Arguing My Mother?
Well, and this specifically I brought just because there was one review that was comparing Bechdel's style to Crumb's, like in her detailing, which for me, I mean, I don't know if I would really agree. I think they're pretty different. But
Okay, so I think this is very interesting. So the book of Genesis, we all don't know, I was a Catholic school kid, so, you know, all through my elementary school, high school, everything Catholic. It says adult supervision recommended for minors. Can we take a moment? So, with that said, you know, this is where the whole graphic novel comic, you know, comic drama, like the genre conversation comes in again. Because this is the Bible, dude. Like, this is the best-selling book, and they put pictures to it. And imagine, once you put pictures to it, it's not suitable for children.
But I mean, do you think that's a fault of the cartoonist, or it's just revealing something about the nature of the Bible text?
I think it is. Yeah, I think
just
that
peruse that
is.
real quick and see if it's like his interpretation of the book of Genesis, or if it's really just the content.
No, it is the text.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's straight from the Bible?
Yeah.
This is a very interesting thing to bring into because you're supposed to compare. Like, let's use this as a comparison for Bechdel's novel. Have any of you looked at this? Do you guys need to take a look at it? Because it is the Bible with pictures. Look at it. It's not in color though. They didn't have color back in those days.
Yeah, Tim, you brought it up. So do you want to talk about Bechdel's color palette?
Yeah, that's something that I thought, and like I really normally when I see something that's like that clear, like there's obvious intent behind it, I can maybe think of a motive, but I really can't really think of why she chose such like a muted pink and gray like paper layout.
Okay, so the basic of all basic color palettes is red, white, and black. Like those three colors, any shade of red, any shade of black. You know, 'cause white doesn't have shades. You know, so you use those, and it's very simple. Like when I do my design work and I don't know what color to put in yet, those are the three colors that you can put in to get a general sense.
Why
But
red?
I don't know. But the interesting thing about this novel is it's only in those two colors, in the shades of red. So instead of drawing and making the graphic portion of the novel more important by giving it more color and more character, she kept it to these three colors so that you would have to focus on the story and the content of the text. Yes, no, maybe?
Yeah. I think with Tim, we were talking about, like, you know, you could read into the fact that this is a female-centered novel, and the one color she chose was a shade of rose.